things are dumb.
Okay, I love Pokemon as much as the next girl, but I have the same relationship to Generation 2 as a Warrior Cats YouTuber has to Warrior Cats. I love it, but I do have to admit, it is incredibly rough around the edges, and that's saying it nicely. Time doesn't make much sense, the characters can be inconsistent, and also it's wildly sexist for no reason at all. But insults to my favorite book series aside, let's get on with the Nuzlocke rules. Once again, the basic hardcore Nuzlocke rules are on screen. Got it? Good. Now, I will only be using Pokemon who are buffed in Generation 3. In this case, this is defined as Pokemon who gain a powerful ability in Generation 3, such as a type immunity, intimidate, etc. And with that out of the way, let's get on with becoming the most powerful elementary schooler in the world! None of the starters are legal encounters, so I just choose Cyndaquil. After kicking Silver in the face, I get my first encounter, a Poliwag who I name Spoonge, because it gets water absorb and sponges absorb water. I am pronouncing that correctly, shut up. I then catch Mewtwo the Ghastly, named that because Mewtwo can levitate and Ghastly gets levitate. And, after a lot of grinding for the 1% encounter, a Dunsparce, named Ballerina, due to its Serene Grace ability. I try to catch a Growlithe, but it uses Roar to end the encounter, so no Growlithe for me, I guess. Finally, I also obtain an Unknown who I name B, because it's a letter and used for spelling, and B's can float. IDK, it made sense in my head, stop judging me. Now you might have noticed something, and that is that I didn't mention a Rattata, even though Rattata gets the ability Guts. This is because I actually forgot the ability Guts existed until after all these captures. I decided to just pretend the ability didn't exist to make the game slightly harder, since Crystal's a pretty easy game, especially with Dunsparce who beats the first few gyms. So no Rattata, no Machop, no Heracross, and no Ursaring. Sad, but what can you do? Not arbitrarily change the rules to cover up your mistakes? I guess that's true, but that's not what matters. What matters is the gym battle against Faulkner, who leads Pidgey as I lead Ballerina, who sets up a defense curl as Pidgey misses a tackle. After that, Ballerina just clicks Rage. Like seriously, it's that simple. After 3 rages, Pidgey falls and Ballerina's attack is at +2 from Rage. From here, Faulkner sends out Pidgeotto, who fires off a Gust and tanks a Rage. A second Gust Rage exchange ends with Pidgeotto's downfall, however, and that wins me the first gym badge. From here I catch a Wooper named Cotton Ball. I also catch a very scary little fishy named Count Dooku, and an equally scary little snake named Palpatine, named for their Intimidate ability. I also hatch a Togepi named Dancer for their Serene Grace ability. Also, Cotton Ball immediately dies to a single Vine Whip from a wild Bellsprout like 10 minutes after being caught, but we don't talk about that. After beating up Team Rocket and Bugsy's gym trainers, I get ready to fight Bugsy himself. However, I make a pretty big mistake. Crud. It's not that I forgot this rival fight existed, it's that I didn't realize you could accidentally fight the rival pre-Bugsy, and therefore I was not prepared for this fight. I switch to Hummingbird, who gets put to sleep by Ghastly's hypnosis as they try to lower its attack with Charm. Ghastly can't hit Hummingbird with Lick. However, there is a problem, and that is that Ghastly knows Spite. This allows it to drain the PP of Hummingbird's Charm while it is asleep. However, Ghastly doesn't have enough Spite PP to drain the much larger amount of PP that Growl has. After Ghastly is sufficiently growled down, I switch to B, who immediately gets put to sleep because of course, why not? B takes sizable chunks of damage from the 4 licks it takes to wake up even despite his -6 attack. But 2 Hidden Power Darks takes out the Ghastly after taking a 5th and final lick and paralysis. As Zubat comes out, I switch to Togepi, who dodges a Supersonic on the switch. It's for naught though, as HP gets flinged twice by Zubat's bite and then gets confused by Supersonic. I decide to have Hummingbird fire off a metronome because I like to live dangerously, but my rebellious spirit doesn't pay off because they just go for withdrawal. At this point I switch to Count Dooku to soak up EXP and then Spoonge, who instantly gets confused by Confuse Ray. They break through to hit a water gun, but wow, that did way less than I thought. From here, Spoonge proceeds to hurt itself in confusion, and then I have to switch out to Ballerina. Well, guess we're raging today. First, Ballerina hits themselves in confusion though, so I have to pivot through Count Dooku to get rid of the confusion, which is annoying, but what can you do? I then, for some stupid reason, have Ballerina miss a glare before finally starting up the Rage Machine, also known as Twitter the Dragonite, and also Twitter the website, haha, I'm so funny, please clap. Zubat falls 3 rages later after missing Supersonics. However, even with a glare hit and 3 instant full powers, my team has been too weakened to deal with this monster of a Croconaut. I switch to Palpatine, but they fall pretty quickly after using a lair. B does their best to chug away with the HP Dark, but also falls. Hummingbird's Metronome pulls a flinching rock slide, but after pulling useless fire spins, yes, Metronome pulled the same move twice in a row. IDK if this is a partial trapping move glitch or something. Hummingbird also falls. Ballerina also falls after one last rage. Spoonge's bubble can barely graze this monster, and Count Dooku doesn't even know an attacking move. Well, that was a stupid wipe. I was playing way too passively, and I won't make that mistake again. You have my word. Well, I probably will, but I hope I won't. From here, I have to restart and recatch Spoonge, Mewtwo, Ballerina, and B. I also make a new rule that I can't use Mewtwo after the 3rd gym badge because afterwards it evolves into Gengar, and you saw how OP that is in the last video. I also catch Azula the Growlithe this time by just spamming Pokeballs. I love Arcanine. It's so floofy, and Azula is a floofy little baby. I love it. From here, I click Rage a few times to beat the first gym, and then make sure not to encounter the second silver fight before the second gym again. Speaking of which, after I catch Palpatine and Cotton Ball again, along with a Krabby named Gandalf, because it shall not pass and gets shell armor, it's time for the second gym leader, Bugsy, who leads Metapod as I lead Ballerina. Ballerina sets up 2 defense curls and then uses Rage after Rage. It's a very simple strategy, but very effective. Simply click Rage 11 times. Well, that was easy. Time to kick my rival's head in. He leads Ghastly and I lead Wooper. I actually wasn't recording for the first Mud Slap and Lick hits, but a second Mud Slap from Cotton Ball takes out Ghastly. Sorry about that, I try my best. Next is Zubat, so I use Slam, but they get confused and hit themselves, so I switch to Ballerina, who tanks 3 bites before finally getting off a Rage. 2 Rages finish off the Zubat, and now it's time for the Croconaut that devastated my team last time. I decide to just Rage, which does way less than I thought it would even on a crit. A Held Berry heals up Ballerina a bit though, so that's nice. A second Water Gun Rage exchange gets Croconaut to very low HP, but Ballerina is dead to a crit, so I switch out to Gandalf, who knocks Croconaut out with a Vice Grip. Good game, Silver. From here I catch a Snubble named Mapleshade, who will be great help as a strong normal type attacker that's more offense focused than Ballerina. However, in a fight with an opposing trainer's Diglett, Gandalf gets crit by a 110 base power magnitude 10, so they are definitely dead. In my defense, I don't think anyone could take that, but in my offense, I should have been using a stronger water type to lower the chances of that happening. I'm sorry, Gandalf. And you know when you're too busy freaking out over a past mistake and end up making another? Well, that's what happens when I forget to buy enough Pokeballs to catch a Yanma. Well, no Yanma for me, I guess. But now it's time for Whitney. She leads Clefairy, so I lead Ghastly to put it to sleep. However, Hypnosis misses, and Clefairy pulls a freaking Sacred Fire from Metronome, doing over half of Mewtwo's health and landing a burn. A Berry reverses some of the damage, but wow. A second Hypnosis hits, however, so that's good. From here I switch to Ballerina and do the same thing I always do. Clefairy wakes up on the switch but fails a Mimic, so basically the whole thing was pointless. Then again, I'm glad that Sacred Fire didn't hit Ballerina. After 2 defense kills and some light double slaps, Ballerina starts using Rage. Since Rage increases damage for each hit of double slap, it only takes 2 to overkill Clefairy with a critical hit. Next is Miltank, so I have Ballerina go for a headbutt, which only does around a third, even on a crit. Although Miltank's stomp does even less damage, so we're pretty safe. I then fire off a glare as Miltank goes for a rollout. This will allow for some para-flint shenanigans to stop rollout from building up. On the first headbutt, Miltank is paralyzed. On the second, it's also paralyzed, and the third knocks them out. Ha! Suck it, Whitney. To hell with you and your cow. My adorable bug thing reigns supreme. This is actually the last fight Dunsparce is OP for, but still, I love Ballerina and you should too. Even if they are an ugly baby. From here I box Mewtwo and get another encounter, a Stantler named Perry, a reference to that One Bad Infinity Train episode, not to the platypus. Because this is a deer, not a platypus. Also, this happens. No! Cotton Ball, my baby! I love Wooper and Quagsire and was looking forward to using them, but I guess not. Wooper was 1 level away from evolving too. Well, that sucks. I also catch a Coughing named Spaceship and evolve Palpatine into Arbok and Dooku into Gyarados and Azula into Arcanine. Lastana is feeling like a brat, so I can't get a Thunderstone from her to evolve the gift Eevee, who I get and name Resistor. Sad, but what can you do? I also spend hours hours at the game corner farming for TMs for Fire Blast and Thunder. If I ever do another GSC playthrough, I'm just going to hack the game corner coins in because it's pretty clear that in Gen 2 you can always win at gambling if you do it right, and I cannot be bothered. Note, I do not endorse IRL gambling. Never bet more than you're willing to lose, and remember, the house always wins in the end. This is exclusively done in a fictional video game. Do not, I repeat, not get yourself into debt by gambling. The slot machine Twitch streamers are rich. You aren't. Unless you are, in which case there are better things to do with your money, such as supporting progressive change. If you really want to gamble, do it with fake money among friends. Alright, PSA over. There is also another silver fight, but TBH, from now on silver fights are completely skippable because for all his talk about being strong, he is a pretty weak rival, so I will be doing so. I mean, for crying out loud, his Victory Road fight has his Feraligatr knowing Water Gun as its strongest stat. He is apparently slightly stronger if you pick a starter other than Cyndaquil, but not by much. Probably should have done that, but I didn't learn it until I googled it 3 seconds ago. Whatever, let's fight Morty. He leads Ghastly and I lead Palpatine. After a bite and a curse, Ghastly is very dead. Like, even deader than before, if that's even possible. Next is Haunter, who looks very edible, but pulls out a Hypnosis to put my sneaky friend to sleep. So it's off to Mapleshade, who is immune to a Nightshade. Say that 10 times fast. But I don't have time to, because Haunter puts our grumpy baby to sleep and then commits seppuku with a curse. So we're 2 for 2 on Morty's Pokemon unaliving themselves. Wild. Next is Mewtwo's evil twin, so I run off to Dooku to avoid a Dream Eater. To be clear, this fight is perfectly safe as long as I don't have to tank Gengar's Dream Eater. At that point, things get difficult. Good thing Dooku has a Mint Berry. The first Hypnosis misses, so a Surf is free. A second one hits, but I had the Mint Berry, so it's fine, and a second Surf hits no problem. A Hypnosis miss means that a third Surf is potent, but sadly doesn't kill. Then, Count Dooku falls asleep before a fourth Surf can kill. So from here it's off to Azula, who is unaffected by a Dream Eater. Gengar then misses a Hypnosis before falling to a dig. Finally, Morty sends out Haunter, who falls to a single Fire Blast. Okay, from here I have to do a bunch of nonsense followed by 3 gems back to back. I'll try to speed through the boring parts. Got it? Good. From here I catch a Marill named Protein and a Tauros named Kai. I then try to catch a Chinchou but kill it. A second Chinchou is caught and named No Fly List because when electricity is grounded, the volts are absorbed. I dunno, it made sense in my head. That means no Shelter until after the 8th gym, but I can deal with that. I accidentally misclick and run from a Mantine. In my defense, if you look at my avatar, you will see that I don't have any fingers, and I would like to see you play Pokemon with only your fists. Especially when your fists are tiny baby hands which could barely hold a console. Critiques of my Pit Crew-esque avatar aside, I also evolve Hummingbird into Togetic, and after using the Daylight Savings glitch to get a Thunderstone from Last Dana, which, if you don't know, every time you turn Daylight Savings time on or off in GSC, it has a 50% chance of triggering a phone call. This is because the save file's real-time clock is being updated and the RTC is used to determine when phone calls happen. And if you only have one phone number registered, this is the only person who can call you. So after battling Last Dana a few times, he eventually gives me a Thunderstone to evolve Resistor into Jolteon. Spoonge also evolves 2 times into Poliwrath. Politoed is also a legal encounter, but Poliwrath is stronger because I don't have access to any other fighting types. There are also 2 deaths, Hummingbird to a random trainer's Horsey's Dragon Rage, and while battling Usain, a person with the most incel name ever, his Electrode ends up getting 4 turns of rollout. This is bad because a 5th rollout will kill any of my Pokemon, since rollout doubles in base power every time it is used, and will lock the user in for 5 turns. I can take it out, but I need a clean switch to take the hits. This ends up falling on Perry. I'm sorry for my mistakes to both of them, and I hope I can do better in the future. But with that, it's time for the 5th gym leader, Chuck, who leads Primeape as I lead Dooku, who hits hard with a strength and can safely ignore a Leer. A second strength takes out Primeape. Next is Bruno's ace, Poliwrath, who takes a strength a lot better and fires back with a Hypnosis. Dooku sleeps for a turn as Poliwrath fires off a Mind Reader, no doubt getting ready for a Leer-boosted Dynamic Punch. Dooku sleeps for another turn before taking less than half from said Dynamic Punch. It does cause confusion though, so I have to switch out to Palpatine, who also gets hit with a mind reader. Palpatine's strength deals decent damage as Polyrath just misses a hypnosis. A second strength gets Polyrath to a quarter as a Saf from Poly wouldn't kill Palpatine even with a crit. One last strength takes out Poly, and that's badge number 5. Next is badge number 6, Price, who despite being the 7th gym leader has lower level Pokemon than the 6th gym leader, Jasmine. He leads Seal as I lead Resistor, who strikes the Seal down with the Thunder. Next is Pillowswine, who Count Dooku walls pretty effectively and strikes down with a Saf after a Mist and Icy Wind crit deals insignificant damage. Pillowswine falls to a second Surf, and last is Dugong, who, fun fact, is a real animal. They just ripped a word straight from real life and used it as a Pokemon. It uses Aura Beam, and then Dooku's strength takes out about a third. A crit from Aura Beam doesn't kill Dooku, and then his strength takes Dugong into the yellow. From here I switch to No Fly List, who tanks an Aura Beam and kills Dugong with a Spark. And finally, the 6th gym leader, Jasmine, who leads Magnezone as I lead Azula. A dig from Azula outspeeds and knocks out Magnemite in one shot. Next is Steelix, who instead falls to a Fire Blast. And finally, a second Magnemite also falls to a dig. My god, Johto gym leaders are way too easy. I hope Clara's a bit harder. From here, Team Rocket take over the radio tower, a thing that was apparently still a thing in the year 2000. I wouldn't know, I'm a zoomer. What is radio? My unanswered questions aside, the only real problem is the Rocket Executive with a full team of exploding Coughing and Wheezing, and a few near misses with other exploding Coughing. He leads Coughing and I lead Proton. A Surf doesn't one-hit the fast Coughing and then it gets off a smoke screen. That's concerning. I switch to Ballerina, but Coughing decides to crit Explosion, totally killing them. Well, this is bad. Next is Coughing and Azula, who uses Dig hoping it will explode while I'm underground. A Dig doesn't kill and then Coughing uses Tackle. It's fun knowing these things have a 1 in 4 chance to go boom and kill me, isn't it? The second Coughing falls to a second Dig and then it's another Coughing. This time I try a Fire Blast and it misses, getting me poisoned by sludge for my efforts. A second Fire Blast does kill, but that chance to miss is a problem. Next is Wheezing, whose explosion will kill anyone and anything, so I switch to Protein and hope for the best. A first Surf does about a third, a second Surf does another third, and then a third Surf misses due to smokescreen. But Wheezing doesn't explode, so one last Surf finishes it off. 1 to go. I didn't think it could explode due to being Disguised Lost Pokemon, but apparently that's only true in the newer games, so Protein's life is still 100% on the line here. But for the one turn it can, it doesn't, and we win the— wait, another one? Oh, guess I can't count. Protein is getting low enough that even a non-explosion could kill, so I switch to Spoonge, who tanks a Smog before finishing it off with a Sap. And with that, a fight scarier than most of the gym battles is won. But speaking of gym battles, next is Claire, who leads Dragonair as I lead Mapleshade, who tanks a Sap and then takes out half of Dragonair's HP with an Ice Punch. A second Sap puts Mapleshade in the yellow and then Dragonair falls. Next is the second Dragonair. It fires off a Thunderbolt, which definitely would have killed if it crit, as Mapleshade takes out almost half of its HP with another Ice Punch. From here, it's off to Kai, who tanks a Thunderbolt on the switch before knocking Dragonair out with a Blizzard. It's like we're playing Gen 1 OU. Next is the last Dragonair, who easily tanks a Blizzard but falls to a Strength because Kai's special attack actually sucks. Last is Kingdra, who I was kind of worried about. I switch to Dooku, who tanks a Surf before firing off his Strength and tanking a Smoke Screen. It does barely anything, so I try a Dragon Rage which misses, and Dooku eats another Surf for her efforts. Another Dragon Rage actually does far more damage, and then Kingdra uses Hyper Beam. Okay, Jesus, that was scary. On its recharge turn, I switch to Spoonge, who hits with a Submission as Claire uses a Hyper Potion. A Surf does minimal damage to Spoonge, and a second Submission puts Claire into the yellow. Ironically, a Smoke Screen misses, and then one last Submission KOs Kingdra, and it's time for the Pokemon League. At this point, I have an arbitrary decision to make. How many rare candies do I use? You see, if you watched my previous video, you know that I decided to use the average level of the first Elite Four member as the initial level cap, but then use rare candies obtainable in the game to level up my Pokemon, mid-Elite Four, to match the next Elite Four member's level cap. This is actually highly arbitrary, since in Gens 1 and 2 you can actually get infinite rare candies, either through the radio or through duplication glitches. However, I will be using the 7 rare candies obtainable through the finite methods listed on Bulbapedia. Got it? Good. Now can we just talk for a second? The day I recorded this Elite Four fight, I was very sick with a pretty high fever and stressed from schoolwork. Please understand that while watching. Be cool? Good. From here I catch a Shelder named Introvert, and then it's time for the Pokemon. First for the Elite Four is Will. Will leads Xatu as I lead Resistor. Resistor fires off a Thunder, killing Xatu in one shot. Or that's what was supposed to happen. Thunder actually misses, and then Xatu lands a Confuse Wave. This is bad. From here it's off to No Flyless, who tanks a Psychic on the switch and then a second one before firing off a Thunder. This kills the Xatu, although it did crit. Next is Exeggutor. I hop off to Resistor, who takes way too much damage from a Psychic. So I guess it's off to Dooku, who still takes a pretty big portion of their health. From here a return crits to take out most of Iggy's health as Exeggutor sets up a Reflect. Another return kills Exeggutor. Next is Jinx. Because of Reflect, Dooku uses Surf with very little damage, and then Jinx puts Dooku to sleep with a lovely kiss. This is very bad. Dooku snoozes for a turn, but takes very little from a double slap. A Psychic on the next turn deals far more, however, so I have to switch. Unfortunately, I forgot how low Cloyster's special defense is, so Introvert falls to a Psychic. But that's just the start. Sponge dodges a double slap and then fires off a Surf to knock Jinx down to low HP. However, on the next turn, a Psychic crits and takes out Sponge. No! My starter! I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. From here, Spacecraft, who has evolved into Weezing by the way, tanks a Psychic and oh wait, you thought I was serious? No, Spacecraft dives. This is really bad. Resistor comes in and finishes off Jinx with a Shadow Ball, and next is Slowbro. A Thunder gets the one shot and last is another Xatu, but Thunder misses one last time and Resistor goes down. Wait, what? Resistor survives? Maybe we can win this. Nope, spoke too soon. I hate Quick Attack. No Flyless, you're our only hope. Xatu fires off one last Psychic and then falls to No Flyless's Thunder. Wow, that was rough. I probably could have played that better. Next is Koga, the useless gym leader Mewtwo slaughtered last time. He leads Ariados, who tanks Dooku's Surf before setting up a double team. However, because evasion strats are unreliable, Return knocks it out on the next turn. Next is Fortress, who after some Protect stalling, tanks a Surf before firing off a weak Swift. Another Surf puts Fortress into the red and Dooku brushes off a Swift. One last Surf knocks out the Fortress, then next is Muck, who tanks a Return and then goes for Minimize. Please Koga, stop the evasion strats, you're just making this harder for yourself. A second Return knocks Muck into the red, and as it just continues to become smaller. Then Dooku misses a Return as Muck sets up Toxic. That's actually really annoying. Thankfully, the next Return connects, and in Gens 1 and 2 you don't take poison damage if you knock something out. Next is Crobat, who sets up a double team and then tanks a Return. After a wing attack, one more Return kills. Don't use double team, friends. Last is Sabrina's favorite Psychic type Venomoth. Here I actually use Rest to heal up as Venomoth goes for Psychic. It does very little and then Dooku snoozes for a few turns. When she finally wakes up, a Return hits Venomoth hard. A Supersonic misses, and then one last Return takes out Venomoth. Next is Bruno, and we don't talk about him. Seriously. He leads Hitmontop as I lead Dooku. A Quick Attack barely grazes Dooku, and then a Return deals far more to Hitmontop. A Detect delays the inevitable, and then one last Return is the end of Hitmontop. Next is Hitmonchan, who tanks a Return before going for a Thunder Punch. Thankfully, the Gen 4 physical special split doesn't exist, so it does nothing. Hitmonchan falls on the next turn. Next is Onix. I have no idea why, but I switched to No Flyless, who tanks a very weak Rock Slide before knocking out Onix with the Salve. Next is the last Hitmon, who deals way too much damage with a high jump kick before tanking a Salve. So it's back to Dooku, who tanks even a crit kick and then goes to bed. As Dooku sleeps, Hitmonlee pummels away with high jump kick. When she wakes up, Hitmonlee falls to a Return. Last is Matchup. A Return deals about half and then a Rock Slide sadly kills Dooku. At this point I'm out of hope. No Flyless fires off a Surf and then Matchup hits with a Cross Chop and that's it. Sorry for the disappointing ending. I underestimated the Elite Four because the gyms were so easy and I paid the price. I can promise you there will be a part 2 to this video, but I wanted to upload this now to avoid having to keep you waiting. Please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe if you want to, no pressure or anything. It would be cool if you did, not gonna lie. It would make me happy is all I'm saying. But with that out of the way, I've been Lightheart II, and always remember that with Pokemon by your side, you can do anything! Except make Scarlet and Violet less of a glitchy mess than an elementary schooler's scratch project. Game Freak, what is this? Okay, bye!